All right. Hello, everyone. So, I'm sorry. Uh, I decided that this week I would continue to talk about just grammar, which isn't super exciting, but I thought that it's good to just keep talking about because we talked about present perfect tense last week. I thought we could talk about the past perfect tense this week. So, past perfect tense is about past actions that happened, before another past event, action, or time. So, it's how we talk about things and that happened, like two different things or multiple things that happened in the past. Um, and talking about how they're related to each other, like now in the present. So, this is the first bit. So, like last time, I'm just going to talk about how you make it and you just focus on that. And then we can focus on how to use it and why to use it and what it means and things like that. So, present and past. So, the blue's the present, the yellow's the past. So, I hope you guys can see this okay. So, present perfect tense. You have the subject, you say have or has, depending on, what pronoun you use, and then the special past verb, right? The past participle. So I have lived in Utah for 10 years. She has gone to the store. Now, when you use past perfect tense, instead of instead of needing to worry about using have or has, you just say had. You don't need to say change it, and it's based on the pronoun that you use. If you use I, right, you can say had. If you use she, you can still use had. So that's why past perfect tense is a little bit easier because you just have to say the word had after your subject, right, the pronoun, or the person. My brother had, right? And then again, you just use the special past verb right after had. I had lived in Utah for 10 years until I moved, or she had gone to the store when I got home. So you'll see that there's a little bit extra going on than on in these sentences, right? Present perfect tense instead of is different from past perfect tense in what we mean when we use it. So again, here are the irregular verbs list: do, did, done, go, went, gone, eat, ate, eaten, see, saw, seen, write, wrote, written, wake, woke, woken, be, was, were, is the simple past or been, know, knew, known, give, gave, given. Those are the irregular verbs. And the regular verbs, remember, they're just the same as the simple past verbs, right? Tell, the simple past is told. And if you're using the present perfect tense, um, you know, she has told me many times to lock my front door, right? So you use the same simple past for the special past participle, which is different from irregular verbs, that it's a totally new word, that you use. Okay, so this is how you make past perfect tense. So you have a subject, you use had, and then the special past verb. For example, when I got home, he had finished making dinner. So you'll see that finished is a regular verb. He had finished. We had gone out after it was dark outside. We had gone. Gone is irregular, right? Gone means go, but it's the past participle. So we have the subject, we have had, and then we have the special past participle, right? The bus had left, then it started to rain. The sun set when they had arrived at the beach. So you'll see that in English, when you do this, you don't have to put the subject, right, that you're using, that you're talking about with the past, or the past perfect tense. It doesn't need to come at the beginning of the sentence. You could say something like this: the sun set when They had arrived at the beach, or you had gone home when I got to work. She had eaten dinner before I got home. So what does it mean? Why do we use this, and how is it different from present perfect tense? Well, obviously it's past, right? We use had. And remember how we used present perfect tense where we used have or has, and that was the present part. And then we used that special past verb, the past participle, to let people know, okay, we're talking about something that has to do with the present, but we're also going to talk about something that happened in the past. So this is different. We're using had, which is past tense, right? It's a past verb, and we're using the past participle, which is a past verb. So we're using two past verbs together. So why do we use it, and what does it mean? I had gone for a run, and then my brother came over. So this is what the sentence is saying. So let's say at 7 o'clock in the morning, I went for a run. 12 p.m., my brother came over. And then 2 p.m. present. The reason I have the little teaching picture is because I'm teaching right now. So we're going to pretend it's like 2 p.m. and I'm talking to you right now. So you'll notice that when I say something like right now, but I'm talking about um, two events, two things that happened in the past, right? Um, but I'm talking about them right now, right? In the present. So I had gone for a run and then my brother came over. So my husband had finished making dinner when I came home. So it's 4 p.m. He started making dinner. 5 p.m. he finished making dinner. And at like 5:05 p.m. I got home. So you're talking about um, the order of things that happened in the past, right? So why do we use it? We use past perfect tense when we talk about an action that happened before another past action. So if you say, I had driven to the store when my mom knocked on my door, you'll see that this is, so right here is the present. Okay, we're going to pretend like this is like a line of time. So the present right now is here, and everything over here is the past. But you know that like in the past, some things happened before other things. And so this is what we use to talk about them. So I had driven to the store. That happened in the past before my mom knocked on the door. So that's like why we use it when we say, oh, I had driven to the store when my mom knocked on my door. I had gone to bed when my boss called me to say that I needed to come in early. It's giving you when you speak and you use it, you're telling people I am talking about some things that happened in the past, but one happened before the other. So um, the first one that you use, for example, I had driven to the store when my mom knocked on my door. I had driven to the store is the thing in the past that happened first, and the second part of the sentence is what happened second, right? So, or if like what I said, I had gone to bed when my boss called to tell me to come in early. What you're saying is, okay, so I had gone to bed. In the past I went to bed. And then in the past, after that, my boss called me to say that I need to come in early. So you're giving people the order of how things happened in the past, and that's why we use it. And I would say that you often use this to explain things to people. It's not something that you use all the time when somebody's like, "Oh, like what were your like what did you do on the weekend?" We usually use it when we're explaining something to somebody. So, for example, say I go to work tomorrow and my boss is like, "Hey, how come you didn't call me back when I called you to say you needed to come in early?" I would say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I had gone to bed when you called me. So you're letting them know, hey, I did this thing first in the past that made it so I couldn't do the thing that you wanted me to right after that. So that's why we use it. We use it to explain situations, like why we did not do something or why something happened. So to make it negative, just like the other ones, instead of saying have not, it's had not, right? We had left to work. To make it negative, you just say we had not left work. My family had moved. My family hadn't moved. So the contraction for had not right here is hadn't. I had is I'd. She had is she'd. It had it doesn't. It's not it'd in English. So this is like the only contraction with like it that you don't squish them together. You always will just say it had. He had is he'd. We had is we'd. They had is they'd. You had is you'd. Had not is hadn't. And that's the contractions for past perfect tense. So remember your contractions. She'd moved before I started working here. So she'd is saying she had. She had moved before I started working here. And you'll see that this one is kind of an explanation, right? So I start working and they're like, oh, did you ever meet Deborah? And I would say, oh no, uh, she'd she'd moved before I started working here, right? So you're saying, oh, she had moved before I started working here. So there you go. Like it's what you use to explain things and to let people know like a timeline of how things happened, like in what order in the past they happened. I hadn't learned a lot of Spanish before I moved to Puerto Rico. So I hadn't learned a lot of Spanish before I moved to Puerto Rico. You'll see again, it's kind of explaining something, right? So like I'm talking and I say, oh, I had a hard time when I first moved to Puerto Rico. And somebody that's talking to me says, oh, why did you have a hard time? And I'd say, oh, I hadn't learned a lot of Spanish before I moved to Puerto Rico. So you're explaining, a situation that happened. So that's what I've noticed about this grammar, this present or past perfect tense in English is people use it to explain things that had happened that you're trying to explain something, why something did not happen or why something happened. And to make a question, again, really easy, you just move had to the beginning, right? Instead of having it in between the subject and then the special verb. She had eaten dinner turns into, to make it a question, had she eaten dinner? So you'll see they had left for the meeting before you left for lunch. You can turn it into a question. Had they left for the meeting before you left for lunch? And that's how you turn it into a question. So I think the big thing to remember about this one is you need to be talking about multiple, meaning more than one event in the past when you use this verb tense, past perfect tense. When you use present perfect tense, you can use just be talking about one action that happened, right? I have missed the bus and I don't have a ride, right? But if you're using past perfect tense, you'd say I had missed the bus and I had missed the bus. Let's see. I had missed the bus and was late for work. Like it's like multiple things are happening at the same time. So, and you need to kind of explain to people like what order those are coming in. And so that's it for the past perfect tense in English. And we'll probably talk about progressive tense and like past perfect and present perfect progressive tense because those are something that we do in English, which isn't great. But we'll just keep talking about grammar, and then tomorrow I have some writing practice for you guys to do, some practice with apostrophes, which is exciting. So that'll really help your writing out. So I will see you next lesson.